going to turn now. Dr. Ashton here with us as well, but we're going to turn to research out of the World Health Organization here. We're talking about a new study that shows the COVID-19 pandemic triggered a 25% increase in the prevalence of anxiety and depression worldwide. Again, something, Dr. Ashton, you've been talking about here on this show for a long, long time, but younger people have been affected more than older adults.
That's right. So this afternoon, we are focusing in on the topic with our very own chief medical correspondent, Dr. Jen Ashton, someone who has dedicated her career to it. She is the president and co-founder of Born This Way Foundation, which works to support the mental health of young people. Cynthia Germanotta joins us now. Cynthia, thank you so much. It's so wonderful to have you here in person, and we appreciate all that you're doing and continue to do. You've just marked your 10-year anniversary, correct? As part of that, you've created now an online resource for younger folks. Tell us about that and what you hope to do with it.
Yes, and thank you for having me and for shining the light on this really urgent issue. You mentioned the increase in mental health issues that we've seen over the past couple of years, and particularly coming out of the pandemic, but we've also seen a rise in conversations about mental health. And we've seen a rise in young people raising their hands and they're asking for help. But quite often the people around them, they don't really know how to support them. And that's where this new training comes in. We've launched training called Be There. It's a certificate-based program. It's completely free. Anyone with a browser can take it. And it teaches you the skills, the knowledge, as well as the confidence really to support somebody in a safe way. And we're very excited about the launch and encourage everyone to take it.
And you talk about there where people can learn and some tools. Part of it, you have golden rules, essentially, when it comes to talking to somebody about mental health. 5 golden rules. We want to put them up on the screen for everybody to see. Say what you see, show that you care, hear them out, know your role, connect them to help. Let me start with this one. Say what you see. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, so we'll say what you see. Well, even before that, I mean, it's really important to know when to have that conversation with somebody. And that comes in by understanding some of the warning signs. So you want to notice whether there's been a change in somebody, whether you've noticed a change in their behavior, in their thoughts, in their feelings, and a change that's intense, a change that's long-lasting, which we define as at least 2 weeks, and a change that negatively affects their day-to-day life. And that's where these 5 golden rules actually come in.
Wow, incredible. And Dr. Jen, I want to bring you in for a clinical perspective because talk a little bit about the importance of these types of tools, not just for kids helping themselves, but for kids helping other kids.
Well, I mean, I think what's so important, and Cynthia just hit the nail right on the head, is that you can make these observations. You could even take the step of having a conversation with someone. But if they say to you, I'm in a dark place, I'm having thoughts of self-harm, life is not worth living, there are adults who don't know what to do. So, you know, targeting this very vulnerable population where the data has clearly shown skyrocketing rates of mental illness, anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicide attempts, and unfortunately suicides, they need to have skills to know what to do after that. And in medical school, we are taught to ask, are you having thoughts of harming yourself? Are you having thoughts of ending your life? And then guess what? Even doctors oftentimes are not taught, what do you do if someone says yes? And that is where this kind of program or this kind of tool can be truly life-saving.
And Cynthia, back to your golden rules here, 5 golden rules. One of them was to know your role. I guess that might be difficult for a lot of, what is our role if it's a friend, a colleague, a coworker, or how do you know your role?
So you know, and it's tricky and it's different for everyone. And I think, as Dr. Ashton said, you don't always, we're not clinicians, you know, we're not therapists. So it's really understanding what your boundaries are, what your limitations are in terms of helping that person.
Yeah, and when you say recognize, so say you recognize it in someone you love or someone who you know, then the question is, how do you bring it up? How do you start the conversation? I understand you have a kind of an example of how you could do that.
Yes, and that's probably the most difficult part, is actually beginning that conversation. And you want to think about sticking to the facts of what you're observing, you know, and not being judgmental when you are, or presumptive when you're having that conversation. So a conversation might go like this. Let's say that we're in a high school environment and I'm talking to you as my friend, and maybe I would say, you know, TJ, I noticed that you're not You know, you're not showing up in some of the classes, you've missed some basketball practice, you're not hanging out with us. What's going on? And I think if you notice in that scenario, I'm not making assumptions about, you know, that person.
Just observations.
Just really observations and just stating the facts, and in the process creating a safe environment for that person to open up.
Wow.
Yeah, and even though, you know, this was developed alongside and for young people, but anybody can take this training. I've taken it, and I've actually used it twice already in the past couple of weeks. So it's a very, very powerful tool, and it's also available initially in 3 languages: in English, and in Spanish, and in French.
We want to wrap this up by emphasizing to everyone that help is available. If you or a loved one are struggling, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. You can text TALK to 741-741 for free, confidential emotional support. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are not alone. Thank you again. We certainly appreciate it, Cynthia Germanotta, for all that you do and continue to do. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's great having you in the
Thank
studio
you.
this time. All right.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.